So Claude Fable has been reinstated after being put on timeout by the US government, which is actually a cool sign for the state of AI because it tells us just how powerful these models really are becoming. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run a quick short test on Fable. I'm not usually the person to be very strict on which model I use for what specific thing, but the fact that this one got literally locked up by the government is just too interesting for me not to give it a real test. If you don't know me, my name is Frank. I run a business called Clean Cut Systems where I build custom software for companies across many different industries for many different purposes. These can be things like project managers, CRMs, and more. And I use Claude Code in most of that. The ways that you can access it are going to be from your chat, which is going to be in here, obviously. But I am a Cursor fanboy, so I use it within Cursor, and I can do that here by going into right there, the actual agent from the Cursor themselves. Another way is if you have the Claude Code extension in here, which I do. If you want to add that, you can always go over here, type in Claude Code, make sure you click on this one, and then go ahead and install it. Once you do, you'll click on these buttons here, and then you'll open Claude Code. And then you'll be able to use your Claude Code subscription. And as you can see, already they're telling you Fable 5 is back. And how you get there is by typing in /model, switch model, and then you can choose which model you want to choose there. I'm not the biggest model chaser when it comes to like this model is way better than this model is way better than this one. But the fact that this one got taken down by the government is kind of interesting to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my own app and I'm going to, or my web app, and I'm going to make a small feature that I'm probably not going to push live. I just want to do something that'll kind of test the limitations of this. And what we can do is a little side-by-side test here. So here we go. I'm going to open up my local. To give you a rundown on what this web app is, it's basically a budgeting / finance tool that I made because I don't like budgeting and finance tools. I don't like how they all make you use Plaid or something to log into your accounts. They're constantly out of sync. They're constantly just not like in line with your actual expenses. And I've tried a few. I used to do Mint and then it went away, and now there's all these other ones. Whenever I tried those, there were so many issues with logging into my bank accounts that it felt like I basically had doubled the amount of places that I needed to check on my money. So I ended up really hating it, not being consistent, and I built my own thing. This is basically requiring me to get my PDFs from my bank accounts. I plug them in here and then it extracts all the information and then I can see all my expenses. So I've deliberately kept this entire thing as simple as possible. As you can see here, there's some spending categories. You have the keyword search. If I click on one of the categories, you can see that it shows the individual transactions. If I want to make a small edit, I can click on that edit button. You can change the description, the amount, the category, the type, and then other things. And then also if I do change the category type, it'll ask me if I want to do that for all matching transactions. So that's as simple as I think I could make it. And what I want to do now is doing something that's a bit above and beyond. I don't think I'm going to push this feature, but again, I just want to test Fable to see what it would do. We're going to build two things. One of them is going to be in line with the envelope management budgeting system, which is basically saying you're going to predetermine how much you can spend in a certain category per month in order to stay within budget. The other part that we're going to do is going to be charts and graphs. So again, I deliberately stay away from this stuff because I don't want to over complexify my financial app. But to have something to build that's actually kind of meaty, I'm going to do these features and see how it does. I'm going to test it in Opus and I'm going to test it in Fable. So first one here, we are in Claude Opus. As you can see in my mouse, actually what I want to do too is I want to create a new branch. If you don't know, creating a new branch can be done in this icon here. And essentially what it does is it allows you to create a new kind of version of your build that is not the live version. So I'm going to create a version that's like a test version. And if I want to completely erase it, I can completely erase it. If I eventually do want to push those features onto the main one, I can do what's called a merge into the main, and then we can have those changes. I'm going to do one branch that's an Opus branch and another branch that's a Fable branch. And that way we can easily compare back and forth without doing anything destructive to the main site. So right now we're going to go down to branch. I'm going to do create branch, and then I'm just going to name this Opus test. Okay. Now you can see down here that it says Opus test. I'm going to publish that branch, and then that branch is going to be real. And if you ever want to double check, you can go into GitHub and see branches. And as you can see right here, this one says Opus test and it's updated now. And we are now on this branch. In order to make this a proper scientific test, I'm going to do the exact same prompt. So here we have the prompt. I need to build, silly boy. I need to build 2 pages, an envelope budget system that needs to allow the user to set limits for each category. They will upload a PDF that they want to use to compare to their chosen limits, or they can choose their files that they have in the history/past documents section. The second one is a series of charts and graphs to see spending by category over time. Should be easy to read and not overwhelming. Again, can use a new PDF or something from the history past documents. So we're going to set that to run. So this is taking a minute because the way I instructed it, I had given it no previous context. It's going through and reading through all my code base as well as is my database architecture so it can understand how to pull in the information, create these pages, and then build out the stuff. It is actually a pretty decent feature addition, which is why I specifically chose this, because I want to see how these models handle this big prompt differently, if at all. Okay, that took actually quite a bit of time. So let's see it in live. I'm gonna kind of ignore this right now. Okay, so we have budget and insights. So first one is gonna be budget. We have use a past document. Oh, I love that. I love that it asks me to do this. So this is my business account, so it's not gonna be like my cost of living, but just to show you how this would work. It looks like we have total budget 900, 500 plus the 400. Total spent is going to be this amount, which is adding the 3 statements, which is one from March, one from April, and one from May. And then you have the remaining balance, and then over budget 0 categories, because I don't spend in those categories. I spend in these categories in my business accounts. I'm going to do one single statement here so it makes a little bit more sense. And then as it's processing here, I'm going to make sure that down below it's still reviewing the same stats. Okay, so total budget 900, total spent 500, remaining 393, over budget 0 categories, 500 left, 400 left, good stuff. Let's see, if I wanted to go here, I just want to see the display. You got 50 bucks left, so that's pretty cool. And then if I go up and up and up, when does it turn red? $1 left. Okay, what if I do like 100 bucks? I'm over. Okay, nice. So that's pretty cool. Not bad, nothing crazy. Pretty straightforward. Like it. Next, we're going to do the insights, which is going to be same single document here. We're going to have a nice little circular chart here. The hover is missing some stuff. Maybe the font is dark, but you can see that I'm not able to see it. Top categories is categorize, subscription, uncategorized subscriptions. Okay. And this is only one type here is available in this document. There's no trend apply yet. Charts below will show the category breakdown. Okay, so I think basically what it's saying is that it needs at least 2 months. I'm going to give it 3 months here with this one. And then you can see that it's over 3 months here. Subscriptions, transfers, categories. Nice, it gives me a couple of quick stats here. Overall, not bad. I like that it stays in line with the same look and feel that I have throughout my app. And it basically shows the main ideas that I was asking for. So now what I want to do is switch over to a new branch, and now we're going to test it on Fable. So now what we're going to do is we're going to commit these changes to the branch we just created, which is the Opus test branch. I'm just going to say Opus test. If I click on this button, we're going to commit those changes, which is basically packaging it all together in the local area, which is our current IDE, to be ready to sync into the cloud, which is GitHub. And so now it's all packaged and good to go. It has the name of Opus test. If I go ahead and sync these changes, it's going to go ahead and go into the Opus test branch. So there's a couple ways to make sure you understand what branch you're currently at. My favorite way is this bottom one here on the left. You click on this where it says the branch name, and then you can see that you have all your branches here, and you can switch over to whichever one makes the most sense or create a new one. Another way is to go ahead and open a terminal and then type in the command git branch. This is going to show you that you're on a specific one here. And if you ever want to switch branches, you can use the command git switch and then the name of the branch. Make sure you do the name of the branch second, not first like I tried to do here, and make sure you use the actual name of the branch as well. So if I want to switch to main, I'd go ahead and do this, and then you can see switch to main branch, and that's reflected here in this little badge, and then down here. Down here is the closest to the source of truth. Up here, if you start to merge and create new branches, this might be a little bit different depending on the situation. But down here at the very bottom left, this is the one that you can know is the source of truth for which branch you're currently on. And as you can see here on the left, this is what I mean by sometimes it's going to show some things that are different. So what it's basically saying is that we are currently on the Opus test branch on both the local, which is the blue badge, and the remote, which is the purple badge, the origin. And then down below, our main, which is the site that's actually live, is still going to be on that old version. Our main site is untouched by any of the new changes we just made. And on GitHub, you can see that exact story. Right here on the Opus test, 1 minute ago, we made changes, but on the main, 20 hours ago, because I made some changes yesterday that I have not made in the most recent edits, right? And so my main website will not feature those 2 new pages that we just created. But my local, as you can see here, local host, will feature those new changes because that's where we're currently at. Okay, so now I want to switch into my Fable branch. Once again, down here at the bottom left, you can click on the branch name, and then you can create a new branch up top. I've already made the Fable one. I'll click into that one there, and I'll publish this branch because it still needed me to do that. And then again, just a small summary of what's going down here in the badges. It is still showing us that Opus is in front of the main by 1, in this case, change. But because we created the Fable branch to match the main site, those are all in the same line. So branching is a good technique. You should learn it. It is very non-destructive and it helps you develop in a lot safer environments, allows you to create tests and make sure that you push things out there that have been tested properly and so on and so forth. You should learn it. It's a little confusing sometimes and you can do it a couple different ways. Hopefully that helps you out there. So now to continue the test, I'm going to open up another Claude chat. We're going to make sure that we move from Opus, as you can see it's checked off there, into Fable. Then I'm going to go ahead and paste that original prompt and then we're just going to let it go. Once again, I'm going to grab a snack and a drink. I'll be right back and we'll see what it does. Fable is now done. This one is ready to go. Let's check it out. So the first one is budget. As you can see, a little bit of a different layout here. Nothing too crazy. Similarly, I'm going to go ahead and type in, let's say, I believe this one, $200 there. And then we're going to click on these past documents. So this one here. And then as you can see, it shows total budget, spent, remaining, envelopes over, this one here, spending without an envelope. Very nice. If we do this one, we'll do also 200. Okay. And then as you can see, it has the same yellow thing, 96%, 851 left. That's cool. Okay. So overall, pretty sweet. A little bit of a different layout, same fundamental idea, still doing very well in terms of keeping with the identity of the SaaS already. I like that it didn't do the kind of header text and stuff that we saw in the other one, because sometimes it can just be a little too filler and it's just very AI text heavy. So this is straight to it. I like it. Next thing we have here is going to be the trends. I'm going to do a single month first. Here we have the same breakdown, literally the exact same breakdown as far as a bar chart and then a circle graph. Same issue of not having good hover text. And then we have the same breakdown over here. So then if I do something that has 3 months, you can see here that we have total spending across 3 different categories and so on and so forth. So overall, pretty similar. So that may or may not be surprising to you. To me, I've ran this test before and this is exactly what I expected, where on the surface, you probably won't see a lot of difference in the UI. The difference might come more so when you're doing bigger changes, things that require like database migrations and initial setup of the architecture or feature management and so on and so forth. When you're doing small features like this, it's actually hard to tell whether or not it's making a big difference. In all likelihood, where you're going to notice the biggest difference is by going underneath the hood and seeing the code decisions, or in your initial setup when you're dealing with the entire infrastructure, or last but not least, when you're dealing with very tricky bugs. Anything that's just been kind of in this loop of having a fix and then another problem, a fix and then another problem, or even worse, just problem after problem after problem, which if you do any coding with AI, you know how sometimes your AI can be very confident that it fixed the thing, but it just didn't. So final sentiment for me, I probably won't be using Fable as my daily driver, but if I ever get caught in a situation where I just feel like I need a little bit of a second set of eyes, or I do have one of those death loops as I call it, then I will switch over into Fable and see if it can do better. But as you saw, the difference in UI and the interaction is pretty marginal, and most of that can be taken care of by better prompting. And I'm always the person that's going to put the onus on myself and say, if I can prompt better and clear, then I'll have less of those bugs, less of those issues, more clear layouts, and things just built overall the way that I want them to be. With any model release, I'm excited to see what people come up with and I'm excited to see what people can do, but I'm not going to basically offload my skill set to the model. I'm still going to focus on having proper prompts, proper instructions, and building out in fundamental ways where you still have me as a human in the loop to make sure that the AI hasn't hallucinated something weird or made a decision that just makes sense in one context but not the context that I was looking for, or so on and so forth. If you want to learn more about AI coding, check out other videos in my channel or check out my school below. Take care.